Washington, America's top hydroplane pilots in the President's Cup race. And disaster in the first heat. Ron Musson's boat seemed to leap from the water and then disintegrate. The national champion lost his life. The final, with 4 boats battling it out for the title. And again, tragedy. Rex Manchester collided with Don Wilson. Both men were killed. The irony of it, if he'd lived, Rex Manchester would have been the winner. The worst ever tragedy in hydroplane racing.
On the second day of the President's Cup, June 19, 1966, in Heat 2B, Notre Dame and Miss Bardol hooked up in a duel that saw the lead change hands several times. Midway through the heat, on the front straightaway, the Bardol appeared to hop a couple of times, then plunged into the waves, erupting in a blast of spray. Witnesses saw the rear portion of the Bardol, engine and all, tumbling several times over the water, before coming to rest downrange from the crash scene. The hull had broken apart. Its front half disappeared beneath the surface, carrying Ron Musson to an instant death. Ole Bardol did not like to talk about the crash that took his driver's life, but in a rare interview, Bardol reflected on that terrible episode.
Well, there was a lot of pressure put on there from Ronnie Musson and all these drivers thought that would be the future for the boat and cab over. I never was told on the cab over myself. Well, in the first place, I like to see the driver sitting in the back instead of sitting in the front there. I think he got more control of himself by being in the back. Well, what happened, if you've been back in Washington, the lake there, well, the boat went down, there wasn't nowhere 10 feet of water. He got down there and he got stuck in the mud. But at the same time, they didn't have much of a patrol there. You know, when you got the patrol boat out there and aeroplane out above, but it was not, they didn't have that. It was kind of bomb setup so far as, and I never did like the setup in Washington, D.C. because that river there is full of debris, deadheads and all kinds of floating around in that thing.
After what seemed an eternity, filled with peaked emotions, anxiety, and sorrow, the President's Cup continued. Shortly after the announcement confirming that Ron Musson had died of his injuries, boats were lowered into the water for the final heat. Grief-stricken drivers prepared to run the final, believing that's how Ronnie Musson would have wanted it. Bill Starrett and Miss Chrysler crew led the field into the first turn, but was quickly passed by Miss Budweiser on the inside and Notre Dame on the outside. Down the backstretch, the two boats charged, with Notre Dame leading by 3 boat lengths at the midpoint. As the boats approached the deceleration buoy, entering turn 2, Notre Dame appeared to leap from the water. Landing on her right sponson, the Dame skidded to the left, her underside exposed, veering into the path of the hard-charging Miss Budweiser. The collision was incredible. The Budweiser pierced the Notre Dame hull as spray enveloped the wreck. Rex Manchester and Don Wilson were killed instantly. Further competition for the President's Cup was canceled. On the basis of accumulated points, Rex Manchester posthumously was declared the winner. It was his only career victory.
Right now, let's move on to the Detroit River and Bill Fleming.
Okay, thanks very much. Back here on the Detroit River, we've had a couple of more heats in the Gold Cup competition, and it's still Tahoe Miss and Miss Smirnoff tied with 800 points this time. Chuck Thompson and Miss Smirnoff winning his heat. Let's go down and meet him and Keith Jackson. Keith?
Well, here's a man who 2 years ago just missed the trophy that he's never won in hydroplane racing, and I guess, Chuck Thompson, you've won just about everything except the Gold Cup, and you're in position to get a hammerlock on it this year, hopefully.
Well, Keith, don't count it till the end of the race. I've had that happen so many times, but we're going to try and change our luck this time.
You missed it, by, if I remember, by about 6 feet in a second the last time, Chuck.
Just about.
How about that Smirnoff? Looks like it's running real well for you.
The engine's performing beautiful, the boat's riding good, and I have no complaints at all.
It might be that you're a little heavier than most of them, and consequently you get a little better ride through the turn.
No, we're not heavier, definitely.
Well, now you've been driving boats how many years?
Oh, I've been driving the Unlimiteds for almost 20 years. I started out with the first Miss Pepsi and then the 2-engine Miss Pepsi, and I've had 3 boats of my own, Short Circuit and 2 Miss Detroits. I drove Jack Schaefer's Such Crust. We had a few records with that. And I drove Bill Harris Tahoe Miss for a little over 3 seasons. And now I've gone to Smirnoff.
And the Tahoe Miss is one of the boats you're going to have to beat today.
You bet.
Well, Chuck, good luck to you. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Keith.
Chuck Thompson, who will be driving the Smirnoff and who is one of the men to beat this afternoon.
Well, it looks like Miss Chrysler crew with Bill Starrett, the driver, is out for the afternoon. The fire was put out, but the boat is out of commission, so she will not be running. So we'll have this restart now with 15 seconds to go of 3A. Miss Budweiser, Smirnoff, Tahoe Miss, Savares, Probe as they come down.
And this competition, Bill, will be real intense between the Smirnoff and the Tahoe Miss because they're tied in points, and it's an important heat.
Very important heat as Myra Slovak gets a good middle slot there, and right next to him is Chuck Thompson. Oh, Thompson dug it, and the boat has flown apart. The red flare goes out immediately. Tahoe Miss and Chuck Thompson were riding side by side, and all of a sudden a tremendous sheet of water, and I see no sign of the boat whatsoever. Bill, do you?
So I have no idea how to explain exactly what happened. It looked to me like Smirnoff was moving up through the pack in close competition, of course, with the Tahoe Miss. They were all in good lanes. They were all had good directional stability. Neither boat got out of attitude, and just at the last, moving so very fast.
And now the Coast Guard very quickly gets to the scene, and there is a skin diver out in the water, and apparently that is Chuck Thompson floating in his preserver.
Coast Guard rescue work throughout the nation has been phenomenal.
Well, boy, I tell you, they were there in about 20 seconds.
Without question, they do magnificent work.
And they're getting the driver into the copter. We see no signs of the boat, just a couple of pieces of debris in the water.
It sank immediately. He must have been thrown clear. I hope that he was thrown clear.
Boy, oh boy, everybody is just stunned here because you know the seriousness of an accident like that at that speed.
It didn't look like they were. It looked like they were handling beautifully as they went across the starting line.
It looked like a great start. The water didn't seem to be too rough, although that is a tough spot, as you explained earlier to us. And so they will now take this chopper over to the ambulance, which will be in the first aid area, and undoubtedly rush Chuck Thompson to the Detroit Receiving Hospital. The helicopter has landed in the area of the ambulance, and now they have taken Chuck Thompson in the ambulance to the hospital. And that happened so quickly, Bill Munsey. Let's see if we can review it, just exactly what happened in slow motion.
Bill, it's difficult to tell. The boats were moving so quickly, and Thompson was moving beautifully through the field, but it would appear that he hit a little lump, came up, and dropped down on the right or the left side. And then the boat, of course, caught its what we call the non-trip area and went into the water stern first. But it's impossible to see it because it was handling so well. It was accelerating beautifully up through the pack.
Okay, back here on the Detroit River, we have some very sad news to announce. We have been informed that Chuck Thompson was fatally injured in the accident at the restart of Heat 3A, and we are all deeply grieved to have received that word.
Well, here is a man who wears an unusually heavy burden at this hour, Lee Shaneth, who is the chairman of the Unlimited Racing Commission, but also the owner of the Smirnoff. First, may I ask, Lee, if you have had time to assimilate any plans for the future?
Keith, not as yet. We're going to have a meeting, I hope, tomorrow, right after the race, and make a decision. We have a lot of problems in our organization, losing the boat completely and losing our fine driver, Chuck Thompson. We have that problem plus mechanical problems, and our future we'll decide as soon as possible and let it be known to everybody.
Well, Lee, you're deeply concerned, I know, with the perpetuity of the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing, and as an official of the Unlimited Racing Commission, what are the steps that have to be taken now?
Well, Keith, we've gone along for so many years in this very high-speed, dangerous sport, and maybe we've just been plain lucky that there's been no disasters and tragedies. But now we have upon ourselves some serious accidents that have cost the lives of 4 of our best drivers and my best friends. And a committee has been formed, and a thorough investigation is going on right now, and we hope to come up with all the facts, the reasons, and explanations as soon as possible. And at the same time, we're going to lay out the future of unlimited boat racing. It is going on. I think it would be a disaster to ever stop this sport and let these 4 men's lives go to waste. They dedicated their lives to this sport. Ronnie Musson was vice chairman of the commission on the West Coast. Donnie Wilson was my southern commissioner. Chuck Thompson was the controller of the unlimited financial end of it. These men were the working men of this sport. Plus, they were in it a long time, and they were the tops. And I think it would be a waste of their lives to ever think of doing anything but building racing up bigger and better than it is.
It's an irresistible fact that risk is indigenous to racing, so it's something that you must live with.
Positively, I think racing, any kind of a contact sport, skydiving, boat racing, car racing, airplane racing, it all is. In fact, we lost one of our great boat drivers, Bill Stead, in an airplane accident earlier this year. So the world will go on and boat racing will go on.
I think you're right. Lee Shaneth, the owner of the Smirnoff and chairman of the Unlimited Racing Commission.
All right, let's get a comment from Bill Muncy here. Bill, you heard Lee's comments, and I know you feel very deeply about what has happened.
Well, there's any question about it, Bill. What has happened to us in the past 2 weeks has been an incredible thing. It's just impossible to imagine. Certainly right now, as an organization and a competitive effort with the loss of 4 of the finest that'll ever hit the sport, we must operate from a position of strength, and I'm sure that's exactly what we'll do.